Hi, welcome to this episode of Bloodhound Pix. As always, I am one of your hosts, Craig.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
In this episode, we are doing our Screener Spotlight segment, where we are looking at two films, Synchronic, which was a huge, highly anticipated movie during the festival circuit, made a kind of big splash, and then unfortunately got postponed a little bit because of the pandemic, but they finally just decided to release it on direct-to-video. And then we're also talking about I Need You Dead by Rocko Zevenbergen. Yes, that's how you say it. Okay. I guess since they both kind of came out almost a year ago and then were pushed back for different reasons because of the pandemic, let's just go with Synchronic first and go into that. Josh, since you've been the one that, I know all of us are big fans of the dual directors, but this was Josh's most anticipated film for years. It feels like. So I'm going to have him give the synopsis of what Synchronic is.
Okay, so yeah, it does feel like it's been, I don't know, at least since like 2019, I want to say. So yeah, it is. It says it's 2019, which is really funny. That must have just been like the festival run. But anyway, so yeah, for those that aren't aware, Synchronic is it's about two paramedics that work in New Orleans, and they're two guys, Jamie Dornan and Anthony Mackie, are pretty much best friends. And as the movie begins and progresses, they kind of get called to these like bizarre, gruesome, sometimes weird accidents. And then they discover this random drug is pretty much at every one of these locations. And the Anthony Mackie character kind of becomes his own sort of detective when Jamie Dornan's daughter goes missing after doing some Synchronic. So this is an extremely high concept idea that's just masterfully executed by two filmmakers that might be my favorite right now, maybe ever. Because in typical sort of Benson and Moorhead fashion, this concept for this film is extremely high, but it's executed perfectly, as I said, and it's very sort of low key done in that they're always like shooting on locations. They're always kind of using the simplest means possible to tell their stories. This one happens to have a lot of VFX in that once you take the Synchronic, you go back in time. So there's a lot of sort of parallel world shifting type scenes that work out really well. So this was pretty much, I guess, my film of the year for 2019, 2020, 2021. And it's masterfully done. It's one of the best, definitely within the past 10 years, science fiction-y type weird stories. That's how good I think it is.
Okay. I agree with you for a lot of it. I think that one of the great kind of elements when you're working with high concept, I realized, because I was going to talk about it more, that it's like this movie that's both I don't want to spoil anything. It's hard to talk about without spoiling stuff, but then it's also hard to actually spoil anything because it's like there's so many kind of elements to its concept. But yeah, what's nice about it is that they really focus on this relationship for a long period of time between the two characters, and you kind of get what's this term we've used a lot on the show and used in our written reviews of like the mumblecore or the mumble gore, whatever element or version you want to call it, where you get that where it's like a lot of dialogue scenes and a lot about the characters themselves mixed with this high concept. And I mean, I think it just works. I think it's definitely one of those movies where I'm interested to see, because I know they got signed on to do some of the Moon Knight movie or episodes or whatever for Marvel. And I wonder if
that's unfortunate.
If it's going to be one of those things where, you know, it feels like one of those movies that pushes them to that next level, but also that those movies or those Marvel films and TV series are a whole different style of filmmaking that, you know, many directors don't come back from after that. So I'm curious to see what kind of happens to their careers afterwards, and if they can kind of keep that what they have, or if they're, you know, going to become like whatever, another cog in the machine type of thing. Sadly, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Hopefully not. Yeah, I mean, I loved it too. I thought it was one of the most interesting time travel concepts I've seen in forever. And just the fact of using like the where you are geographically has part of the travel, which makes sense, and the drug and the like only 7 minutes and all of these things were super unique, which is nice to see because, you know, I don't know, I feel like we all love time travel movies, but, you know, there's plenty of terrible ones.
Yeah.
And I thought they used like, no, what did you say?
Oh no, I think by what they did, I think they were able to kind of avoid some of the issues that come with time travel movies, because some time travel movies, when they do it, going into the sciencey portion of it, like, you know, you have all these people like, oh, well, that can't work because time travel works in this way, and, you know, blah blah blah, which nobody that we know of has actually done it, so they can't.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Well, they usually create some kind of paradox that screw, you know what I mean, that you immediately go like, oh, that would cause a problem, and they ignore it or something. But I thought they did great too with the VFX. I mean, like you guys were talking about, but like incorporating them in a way that makes the story believable and effective with these different time periods and shit, but it's not like super spectacly overdone. It's there to serve the story. It's not just like, oh, look at this cool shit for no reason. Like, you know, like the typical kind of big budget version of this would do. And I, you know, don't give a shit that they're doing Moon Knight. I'm just like, you guys have your own fucking, I mean, I get it, but you have your own shit. So now you're just going to do regular shit and get paid, which is great, but I'm not going to watch Moon Knight. All right.
Yeah. So I do have to say that you're talking about that, you know, and I agree about the spectacle and going over. There were points for me where, especially in the first 30 minutes or whatever for the opening, where it seemed like every other shot was like a zoom to a drone or a drone shot or like some crane shot type of thing, or one of those ones where that I guess is popular now, where they do the turn of the camera where it looks like the street is now in the sky and whatever. There was, you know, moments where they did that a bunch that unfortunately it took me out a little bit, where I was like, oh, they're doing another one of those shots. And maybe, you know, I know we've talked about it, and maybe it's one of those things, if those of you who are listening who want us to talk about it more, about doing all of these reviews, and that now kind of to the point of like editing, you know, and very strict on like wanting a shorter movie that, I don't know, in my brain, I was just kind of watching going, oh, you could cut that. You could cut, which I know it helps establish stuff, but yeah.
I didn't feel that with this, but I usually look for that, to be honest, because you see it in so many things where they're just like, this movie's not that great, but here's a drone. We have a drone, and we're gonna let you know we have a drone, and maybe you'll just think we're better than we are because we do.
Yeah, this movie doesn't make a wrong choice, Craig.
Yeah. And no, I will say that I think both of the actors do. I haven't seen all of the. I mean, I haven't seen the whatever Shades of Grey movies or any of them, and I haven't seen. I think I've seen a couple of the Marvel movies with Anthony Mackie in them, but I mean, this is some of the best acting I think either of them have done in terms of being able to actually explore these characters and kind of make grounded characters and not being something that's just so, as Kyle you've put, so spectacle driven that it's about the prop instead of the character.
You need to see Half Nelson, bro.
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie's always been great. He's never bad.
I forgot he was in that one.
But yeah, I mean, he has done whatever I can't even remember his character now.
The Falcon.
Falcon, yeah.
Yeah. But now I think he's the new Captain America. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the recent. Yeah. Okay. So we all enjoyed it. And now we're going on to even though they're both indie, one that's a little more indie than this one, of I Need You Dead, which came out, I think, from what we're told, it actually was released in theaters for one night, basically right before the pandemic hit. They did, a little drive-in run of like 3 or 4 nights, and then it's been DVDs, and now they're about to, I think, try and get it onto streaming services. So hopefully by the time this episode drops, it should be available to watch. But Kyle,
it doesn't say anything about when this comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're still looking for distribution.
So,
yeah. From what
that's what I figured.
So we also did an interview, which you can listen to as well, with the director, and what he was saying was that they're talking with Shudder. They're hoping for that one, but then they're also just trying to find some other streaming service to start getting more of an international push and all of that. But since Kyle is the big fan of Trauma, and this is very inspired by Trauma, I will have him tell it. Also, there will be spoilers because there's a big twist reveal in the first 30 minutes. So that we can't get around.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
so it's basically at least it starts as a Trauma kind of inspired, very Frank Henenlotter-esque kind of thing with these punk kids, and basically this guy takes these drugs, these gummy bear drugs, and
dummy gummies.
Oh yeah, this guy's name is Dude. So we know where we are and what kind of movie this is. The dude's name is Dude. He takes these drugs, he gives birth or whatever. I don't know, I can't even remember how the thing actually spawns.
It comes out of the ground.
It just comes out of the ground.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if it came out of him or what, but so it comes out of the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
This fleshy, demony thing.
Head.
Yeah, this head that's, like his id or whatever.
Yeah.
It's trying to get him to do shit. But then we pull back into kind of a meta take of the filmmaking team looking at basically what was the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie and commenting on it, which is kind of funny. And then that becomes a whole parallel thread of the movie. So we cut back and forth between this story within a story and the making of the film and the struggles of making the film. and people dropping out, and then the movie that they're making becomes incredibly dark and bizarre and fucked up, and the filmmaker starts like losing his mind. And I knew I was in trouble when I saw that this was like an hour and 47 minutes. No offense, but I was like, yeah. I think that the first 20, 30 minutes are actually pretty solid in terms of what they're referencing and the way that they do it, and it's just fun and silly, and it's like, if it's not your thing, you're not gonna like it, but it's not taking itself seriously, so it's a lot of fun. And then when they pull out for that first meta joke, that's kind of funny, but then when that becomes half of the movie, it's not that interesting, because no one gives a shit about people's filmmaking struggles, like probably at all, honestly, but especially not in reference to this silly movie that they're making. And I get the impulse to like be afraid to fully commit to that original movie, because you don't want people to think that you're a bad filmmaker because you're intentionally doing, you know, the VHS look and all this stuff. But by not committing to it, it's like you can't have it.
Definitely do.
Yeah. But then it's like you can't have it both ways and like take the audience aside during the movie and be like, no, but I can do other things. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, you can't do that. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I was going to say that, like, I feel like, because I agree with what you're saying completely, Kyle, and that, you know, I think about the one that's, you know, really good is One Cut of the Dead. And that's like the one take zombie film that's 30. Again, I'm going to be spoiling that one if you haven't seen it. If you, just watch on Shudder, or too bad, I'm spoiling it. You know, it's like 35 minutes. It's a one take zombie film, but you see all these random stuff that are a little bit off or whatever. And you're like, well, that's weird. It didn't work out too well. And then you watch the rest of the movie, which is like the hour or whatever it is. And you're kind of watching the behind the scenes of how they actually made it. And so those random things within the, I guess, one take, they make sense. Oh, well, it was random because they were trying to make up and trying to make it work or whatever. See, that works great for me, and I love the movie. But yeah, this one, taking that, like putting us in that story for 30 minutes and then doing the out, you know, zoom out or whatever it may be into the meta, or like filmmakers making the movie, it kind of, it didn't, because I was already invested, I guess, for the 30 minutes into being like, well, let's just stick with this one. For me, I mean, I did like the idea that every time a person dropped out, like the film quality got worse, or, you know, I mean, I appreciate what they were trying to do, I guess that's what I could say. But, you know.
Yeah, you're either gonna really like this or it's gonna annoy the fuck out of you.
Where are you at, Josh? And then...
I mean, I kind of appreciate what they were doing, but it doesn't really work. And I think, to kind of go back to what Kyle was talking about in terms of when, you know, we get these breakaways from the fictional movie to the director and shit, like that, it happens too often is the problem. Like, if it would have just happened like maybe even one time, like at the near or at the end, and certainly not a fucking hour and 47 minutes after it started, but I feel like that whole shifting would have come across less annoying. And then you obviously wouldn't have been able to pack in as much stuff as they did pack in. But I mean, I don't know. I felt to me, it would have worked better that way. And you know, that's not even to mention that this movie is the equivalent of ADHD, in that, you know, it goes along for 10 minutes and then it does something completely different that's completely unrelated for about 10 minutes, and then it goes and does something completely unrelated for about 10 minutes. You know, up until the point where it literally just, the main character of the fictional part just disappears. And it's like, now we're focusing with this gay cop, you know, and it's like, it's seriously like, I don't understand like the thought process if it was just, you know, obviously it was intentionally done that way, but it's, you know, I didn't mind it, but I could definitely see how most people, I would imagine, would find this really annoying.
I think it's like the intention of the meta stuff too, because like when it first happens, you take it like a joke, you know, because it pulls out of this goofy movie and people are, you know, everyone has notes about this.
Yeah.
But then as it goes along, it becomes super serious about this guy, you know, the filmmaker like losing his mind, and it changes tone so much. Yeah, and like you said, like you lose total track of what the movie within the movie. And it just it's like it tries to bait and switch you with this goofy, sleazy thing, and then become a super serious thing about how depressing it is to try to make silly ass art. And it's like, okay, I didn't.
Yeah, that was really, that was so weird, because it's like, I don't know how you really expect me to take this seriously, but that's kind of what you're trying to get me to do. And it's like, I can't. You had a movie about a giant fucking demon head that makes fun of this guy, you know, and it was just, vomit spewing out everywhere, you know. I mean, it's just like, I cannot take any of this fucking seriously, but now you want me to be like, holy shit, this is some serious shit now. It's not going to work.
Well, and it's, I mean, obviously they're not going to give away the twist in the trailer, but like if we were coming into this completely cold, you know, like you see the trailer and you expect that one thing, and not that you don't ever want to be surprised as an audience, but you know, it totally shifts on you. Like,
well, in part of the interview, he kind of talks about that he wanted to be able to, I guess, throw a curveball to the audience that would enjoy, you know, the niche audience that would enjoy these trauma films as well. So it's like it was uninspected for everybody, which again I can appreciate. But then, does it like also you know, if you're alienating all of your audience, does that pose any sort of an issue or things like that? That's what I guess is.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some trauma fans that would like kind of go with this movie, but I feel like a lot would be disappointed. But I mean, if you're intentionally alienating people, then there's really nothing anyone can say to you either. I mean, that's fine.
Well, I mean, I think the way that the movie kind of wraps up with, you know, the sort of like out of left field gunfight with no audio, and you know what I mean? And it's just like, motherfucker, this just no. But I mean, there's your complete and total alienating everyone, you know, because you're watching something that's just, I mean, I get what you're doing, but most people are not going to enjoy this at all.
Yeah. And I don't know.
So,
yeah.
And what was strange for me anyway was that, like I said, I didn't mind the movie, but that first sequence at the party, so there's a party scene that starts the movie out, right? And it goes on for, what did I say? Probably about 10 minutes. And it was by far and away the best part of the movie. And then it never once even gets remotely close to that again, like in any way, you know, imaginable, tone, anything. So it was weird. I mean, like I said, I didn't have a problem with the film, but I can guarantee you a lot of people will.
Well, and that's like a weird telling thing, to be honest, because it's like when the film was not taking itself seriously and it knew exactly what it was trying to be, it was good. And then when it started to take itself super seriously, you were like, oh my God, I want to kill myself.
And just like, before we started, we were talking about the Lloyd Kaufman cameo that was just literally in there for no fucking reason whatsoever. And it's like, again, that's where this movie just doesn't give a shit, and it's being whatever the fuck it wants. It worked. It was completely unnecessary, but it worked.
Yeah, but you wanted him to be important.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there was major connection because the director worked on Shakespeare's Shitstorm, which we also did a review for, and I think a bunch of the crew did as well, or something. There was a bunch of people that I think worked on that, and Lloyd Kaufman even lended his voice to kind of help with crowdfunding and things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So if Lloyd Kaufman ever wants to...
Yeah, so there's your reason why...
So Kyle might have a script. He loves working with vomit and stuff. So Mr. Kaufman, if you want to lend your voice.
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to help me now. I don't really need his voice, no offense.
Yeah.
I don't think he can help me.
Okay. Do we have any... But yeah, I mean, my kind of closing thing is that I will say that first, like 20 minutes or so it's really solid in terms of, what it is. It's funny. It has, but it even adds in like the comical, running sounds that you're used to in like cartoons and like, I don't know. It's dumb fun is what I'd put it as.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, there's a lot of good stuff in it. It's just kind of multiple movies put together. And it's like, I think if they had just committed to any one of those ideas, it would have been better than trying to put them all together.
Yeah.
In an hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just completely uncalled for. It just reminded me too, there's multiple, like in the opening party sequence that we were talking about, the party gets busted by 3 cops who show up at this house, and the cops are literally just wearing blue button-down shirts without any kind of like markings whatsoever. And it's just like, okay, surely you're aware, right, that this is not what cops wear. I mean...
But that worked when you're doing, like once you're like, this is a trauma movie, wink, like you could kind of do whatever the fuck you want and people are just going to go with it.
That is true. That is true. I don't know. I think even for me, it was just like, I don't care how fucking stupid you want to get, but come on, man, you got to do better than that.
Well, even I think a couple of them didn't even have badges or anything at points.
I know.
Just like they had the shirt.
One of them randomly did have a badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie will annoy most people, but I didn't have a problem with
it. Despite all the problems you talked about. So yeah, if anybody wants to hear us talk about another industry segment, we could talk about, I guess, in the future, how I guess reviewing has made us want to only watch 80-minute movies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yeah.
Seriously, you go 81 minutes, I don't know. I might not do it.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have any more to say on this before we close out?
I think we did a good job of covering this one.
Yeah.
Lot to unpack here.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. As always, send us a review. Give us, whatever star rating you want, I guess. Yeah. And then, if you watch any of these movies, whenever I Need You Dead comes out and you have a different opinion, same opinion, whatever, send us a comment. We'd love to hear what your thoughts were on Synchronic, I Need You Dead, any of the stuff we talk about. And next I think the next episode we will be doing will kind of go back to our normal cinema obscura, where we'll talk about one of them being, I know for sure, Uzumaki. It is my pick next time. And then we're waiting to see which one we can find to pair with Uzumaki, which is an adaptation of Junji Ito's famous manga Uzumaki, the same name. But as always, thank you for listening.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Produced by Josh Lee, Craig Drum, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Editing by Kyle Hintz.